Welcome to K-pop Unfiltered, the podcast where we break down the entertainment industry's hottest topics. Today, we're talking about the high-stakes dispute between NewJeans and their agency, ADOR. This conflict has captured fans' attention and sparked heated debates on legal rights, contracts, and artist autonomy. We'll address the arguments being made, counterarguments to consider, and what this means for both NewJeans and ADOR moving forward. Let's dive in. 1. Validity of contract termination. One of the central arguments here is whether NewJeans' contract termination is valid. ADOR claims the contract is still active and that NewJeans has not provided evidence of breaches. But here's the counterargument. Once NewJeans issued a formal termination notice and the 14-day grace period passed without corrective action from ADOR, their termination becomes active, unless contested by ADOR in court. Standard contract law supports this principle, where termination stands unless legally challenged. Now, if ADOR disputes the termination, they bear the responsibility to prove in court that NewJeans either failed to follow proper procedures or lacked valid grounds for termination. This could include presenting evidence that no breaches occurred or that NewJeans didn't act in good faith. 2. Evidence of breach and burden of proof. Critics argue that NewJeans has not provided factual evidence of ADOR's breach, and their claims are based on subjective feelings. Here's the counter. While we, the public, may not have seen all the evidence, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Internal audit reports or submissions to legislative inquiries may substantiate their claims. These documents could remain confidential, but serve as credible evidence during legal proceedings. And let's not forget, once NewJeans officially claimed breaches, the burden shifts to ADOR to disprove them. Courts will evaluate any evidence of mismanagement, reputational harm, or procedural failures that NewJeans presents. 3. Good faith and meeting requests. Another contentious point is the claim that NewJeans acted in bad faith by rejecting ADOR's meeting proposals and taking the dispute public. Critics say the group should have given ADOR's new CEO a chance to address grievances. But consider this. ADOR's obligation isn't just to propose meetings. They must show tangible steps to rectify alleged breaches. If those meetings lacked substance or were proposed last minute, like hours before the grace period expired, this could be interpreted as a lack of genuine effort on ADOR's part. It's important to note that NewJeans has the right to decline meetings if they believe these wouldn't lead to meaningful resolution. Simply proposing meetings doesn't automatically demonstrate good faith. The content and context matter. If ADOR's proposed meetings didn't come with concrete plans to address specific grievances, or if they appeared to be delay tactics, NewJeans could justifiably decline them while still maintaining their position that ADOR failed to adequately address their concerns within the grace period. Furthermore, NewJeans' decision to involve the National Assembly inquiry reflects the severity of their grievances, suggesting systemic issues rather than mere personal disagreements. 4. Interpretation of contract terms. ADOR has argued that the contract remains valid and that NewJeans cannot terminate it without solid evidence of breaches. Here's the counter. Contract disputes often involve differing interpretations of terms. What ADOR views as minor issues, NewJeans may see as severe breaches impacting their careers. Resolving these disagreements typically requires judicial review, where both sides present evidence and argue their interpretations. 5. Timing of ADOR's response. One major criticism of ADOR is the timing of their response. Proposing a meeting mere hours before the grace period expired doesn't exactly scream good faith. Courts prioritize meaningful, timely attempts to address disputes, not procedural compliance that appears rushed or superficial. This timing issue could weaken ADOR's position, as it suggests they may not have taken the necessary steps to resolve the situation substantively. 6. Court's role in contract disputes. Lastly, there's a misconception that NewJeans must file a lawsuit to terminate their contract. In reality, they aren't obligated to sue unless seeking damages or further remedies. It's ADOR, as the disputing party, that must initiate legal action if they want to contest the termination. The court's role here will be to evaluate the legitimacy of NewJeans' claims and ADOR's defenses. This process could take months, if not years, and will hinge on the evidence presented by both sides. Final thoughts. At its core, this dispute between NewJeans and ADOR highlights the complexities of artist-agency relationships in the entertainment industry. It's not just about contracts, it's about power dynamics, legal rights, and public perception. While ADOR might argue procedural compliance, NewJeans seems to be prioritizing systemic accountability and fair treatment. The ultimate decision, however, lies with the courts. So, whether you're Team NewJeans or Team ADOR, one thing's clear. This case could set a precedent for how similar disputes are handled in the future. That's it for today's episode of K-Pop Unfiltered. What do you think about the NewJeans and ADOR conflict? Share your thoughts on our social media platforms. Don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth discussions on the entertainment industry. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, stay curious and stay informed.